Joe Biden's trying to tell everyone that the economy is better than it's ever been. Things are amazing. Every poll, what's the most important issue? Number one is the economy and inflation. But then Biden says things are great. What are you guys talking about? That's their play, that they're trying to convince you that things are actually really good. And they'll point to spending. They'll be like, look, all these people are spending so much money. That means people have great confidence in the economy. And I would like to present the argument that it means the exact opposite of that. Perhaps the opposite is true. That in fact, people are spending so much money because they know the economy is so bad. They're spending money because what's the point of saving? Inflation's so high, if I save it, it just gets eaten up anyway. I'm looking at things that used to cost $500, like a big purchase. Something that used to be $500, now it's $800. I better buy it now before it turns into $1,000. And people are taking on more and more of a poverty mindset. And here's what I mean by that. And then we'll go to your calls. Just to catch everyone up. One of my dear friends, he grew up dirt poor, absolute dirt poor, meth head parents. Like, I don't know, like both his parents were meth addicts. Like I think he grew up in a drug house. I can give plenty of examples of how like what that life was like that he would share. But I don't know how much more poverty stricken you could be other than meth head parents. So, and he said his brother today still has a poverty mindset. And he was able to break out of it. But the poverty mindset is, as soon as I come upon money, I spend it immediately. I spend it right away, which is bizarre and irrational. You would think if you live in poverty and you come across money, that's all the more reason to save it. Because you never know when you'll come across more. You would think someone in poverty would save money if they come upon it. But no, that's not what a poverty mindset's about. A poverty mindset is there is no future. There is no future. What's the point of saving? I come across money, I'm going to spend it all right now. So we had Aaron in particular called in last hour telling the story. He was homeless when he was a kid. He's like, yeah, I'd come across money and I would go to the gas station, not the grocery store, but I'd go to the gas station where prices are twice as expensive and buy 15 bologna sandwiches just because I could. Or I'd go to the pool hall and buy a $200 pool cue. It's just what my brother-in-law, he didn't have a lot of money, and he bought these Lucchese boots that were snakeskin Lucchese boots. And then when he finally realized he kind of was breaking out of this poverty mindset, he finally has. But when he was breaking out of it, he said, "Why do I have these boots? I can't pay rent, but I'm walking around. I look like an oil magnate." Or oil tycoon. Tycoon is the word. Tycoon's funnier than magnate. I look like an oil tycoon. But he's like, I got money. I'm going to spend it on Lucchese boots. And that's so unwise. But that's the poverty mindset is I finally came across this money. I'm going to spend it all right now. And my thesis is more and more people are taking on, whether they're in poverty or not, that's not the point. More and more people are taking on the poverty mindset of, well, I got the money. What's the point of saving? I'm never going to get a house. I'm never going to get 10% of this house. Who cares? Like, if I'm not saving it, I might as well spend it on stuff. And therefore, oh, look, people are spending money and Biden can say the economy is doing great. That's my argument. And then we have people like our last caller who says, yeah, I don't save. I have money, but I don't save. I'm not going to take it with me. So we got, and this is my last point, and then we'll go to calls. We've ventured into this very fascinating world of the Aristotelian mean. And it's fun to say Aristotelian. Sound very, very smart if you say Aristotelian, because I don't just know Aristotle, but I can make it into a noun or verb or whatever. Aristotelian mean. It's the golden mean. So Aristotle talked about this golden mean of balance, where you have a virtue, but you can actually have an excess of that virtue. You can have a deficiency, obviously, not have the virtue, but you can have an excess of it as well. So courage is the easiest to understand. You can have courage, good. Obviously, you can have a deficiency of courage, which is where you're a coward. That's bad. But you can also have too much courage. You can be rash and unwise. What's another one? Generosity. No, let's do ambition. That's a good one. Ambition one makes sense, right? You want ambition's good. A deficiency of it would be laziness. That's not good. But too much ambition, you can get really greedy and lose sight of what matters and what's important and what life really is. So you can be too ambitious. So you got to find that right Aristotelian mean. You got to find that right golden mean. So this guy called him, so let's do, I think it was Kim. So Kim, she's like, well, what's the point of saving? So she's like, so you can have a deficiency. So saving is a virtue. I think saving money is a virtue, and we could talk about the Puritan ethic of saving. Saving is a virtue. Let's say that's true. Kim is like, she has a deficiency of it. She's like, I'm not going to save any money. Who cares? I'm not going to take it with me. But then you can have an excess of it where all you do is save and you never live life the way it is. You never spend money on like life. Like, what's the point of having all this money if you don't spend it on a thing that you get to enjoy in life? It's okay to spend money and have things. And the Puritans actually did know that too. But you're right. So I would argue, Kim, who called a moment ago, that you should save some money. You're right. You don't have to save everything and never buy anything ever, but you should find that mean in there. And then Aaron had another example. What was Aaron's example? Oh, darn it. He had a good golden mean too. Darn it. It'll come to me in a second. But anyway, that's what we're chatting about now, that the economy is so bad. You're told that the economy is so good. Look, people are spending money. But my argument is, no. That's proof that the economy is that bad. All right. I think we're on the same page now. Let's go to Steve, who's in Georgia. What's going on, Steve? Thanks for hanging on.
Mr. Slater, I have thought about this. I just had a few ideas about why people spend money the way they do. Some people are just foolish, and that's why you hear the expression, a fool and his money are soon parted. Another thing is materialism. That's kind of like the drug you were talking about. The highs you get when you buy something, and then, you hit a low, and then you got to buy something else, get another high. And another thing, keeping up with the Joneses type thing. And just trying to think, what I get will impress somebody with how I've got this car, these clothes, or whatever. And that's a big problem with human beings, period. Trying to impress other people. I'm a Christian. I orient myself with God. I want to impress him. I want to put a smile on his face with everything that I do. And that can help you with how you spend money and how you live your life. I don't orient myself with people. If they think I'm great, that's fine, but I don't seek that. I seek God and what he thinks of me. So that's what I wanted to say. Thanks for the call, Mike.
Well, that's all spot on, Steve. Very grateful for it. Yeah, on the impressing people. So my buddy, his brother, living in amongst other people with this poverty mindset where there's no money. The value is spending money on a thing to impress others. This is where you get people spend a ton of money on a pair of sneakers when they can't pay rent. Like, what? So my friend's brother would spend money on his car. He had no money at all, and he would spend all this money on rims and like dumb car decals and lights on the car. And like I look at that, I was like, well, if you have a lot of money, then I guess you could spend stuff on this too. But if you have no money, what do you do? What are you talking? What are you doing that? But the value in that community that he was in was on impressing others with a thing. So it was, in his world, it was rational. Of course I'm going to spend money on my car. This is how I gain social status amongst my peers. So here's the problem. On your first point, a fool and money are easily parted. That's the old expression. A fool and his money are easily parted. I think a lot of people's financial problems are their own doings. And I can back that up in a minute. My concern is when the poverty mindset becomes rational. So what I just explained about spending your money on your car to impress people in your friends group, if you live in the ghetto, that's like kind of rational, actually. Anyway, but my concern is that when we get to a point where, as a caller earlier said, when inflation is so high that this thing I kind of need was $300 and now it's $600 and soon it's going to be $900, I better buy it now before it becomes $900. And now people are blowing all of their money and spending it unwisely, imprudently. But it is rational. Like, yeah, I guess you probably should buy it now before it gets more expensive. And now people are making bad decisions for rational reasons. And like, that's when the economy is so screwed up. At that point, everything's gone. Everything's messed up. And I don't know how you get back from that, honestly. 866-95-PATRIOT, 866-95-PATRIOT. We'll go to Brian, who's in Tennessee. What's going on, Brian?
Morning, Mike. How are you, bud?
Doing real good. The cicadas here. Am I right? You got a bunch near you?
Not yet, but they're coming out.
Where are you in Tennessee?
Memphis, or just north of Memphis.
Wow, you don't have any there? It is so loud
Yeah,
here.
we've had a lot of frogs, but not so much cicadas.
Oh man, it's like, it's so loud you have to yell to people next to you when you're walking around. And I was outside the other day, and it like eventually at a certain point you're like, it kind of like drives you nuts. Like it like hits a certain, I don't know, like frequency or something, and it just like curdles your brain. It's crazy. Anyway, what's on your mind about all this money?
So, like one of your earlier callers, I have about 3 or 4 years where I was homeless. I lived in my car. I had a drug problem, and the mindset at that point was, look, I'm going to get this money, then I'm going to make sure that I get enough of this product so that if I don't come across money, I'm still good on my high. And it took me forever to get out of that, but I did. And now I'm clean and wife and 2 kids.
Awesome.
My wife, on the other hand, who has they've always had money, whether she wants to admit it or not. They've always had money. Her mom's a nurse. Her dad used to run a door company. And like I was telling the screener, we have a clear path to home ownership at this point with the help of my parents. But she continues to spend money. And anytime that I bring it up, she goes, it's never going to happen. I don't know why you keep doing this. It's never going to happen. She's gotten into the mindset because these first few years of marriage, we have been so hard on money that she just, if she has the money, she's going to spend it.